All right, today we're going to jump into this really old, kind of wild story from the desert. It's all about a deadly problem and a very, very strange cure. It's got a powerful lesson for us, so let's dive right in.
I mean, really? Just looking? It sounds way too simple to be true, right? But believe it or not, thousands of years ago, a whole group of people faced that exact choice.
Okay, so let's set the scene. Our story kicks off in a pretty tough spot. The children of Israel are smack in the middle of this huge wilderness, and things are not going so well.
Just picture it. You're walking through this blistering hot desert, and it feels like it's been forever. You're worn out, you're thirsty, you're hungry, you're just done. And that's exactly where the Israelites were. They started complaining, focusing on everything that was going wrong instead of trusting their leader, Moses, or God. And then, just when they thought things couldn't get any worse, boom, it gets terrifying. The whole camp is suddenly overrun with these poisonous snakes. The Bible calls them fiery serpents, and you can just imagine why, right? Their bite probably felt like actual fire, just searing pain. It was a total nightmare. And look, we're not talking about just one or two snake bites here. This was a full-blown crisis. A deadly plague was ripping through the camp. People were dying from the venom, and this wave of fear and sickness was just everywhere. They were completely and totally helpless. So, in the middle of all this chaos, the people finally cry out to Moses for help. And God responds. But the cure he offers is kind of strange and surprisingly simple. Yeah, God's plan was incredibly simple. It basically boiled down to 3 steps. First, he tells Moses to make a serpent out of bronze. Second, stick it up high on a pole where everyone can see it. And third, and this is the key part, tell anyone who gets bitten to simply look at it. That was it. The entire instruction was look and live. It wasn't about figuring out the science behind it or debating if it made sense. It was a pure test of trust. Would they actually obey, even if it sounded completely bizarre? Okay, now this is where things get really interesting. This ancient story, it turns out it was pointing to something so much bigger. Hundreds and hundreds of years later, Jesus himself said this whole event was basically a preview of what he came to do. I mean, wow, what a connection, right? Jesus is essentially saying, hey, remember that story about the snake on the pole? Yeah, that was about me. Just like that serpent was lifted up so people wouldn't die physically, Jesus said he would be lifted up on the cross to save people from sin, which the Bible describes as like a spiritual sickness that affects all of us. And you can see the parallel so clearly here. Looking at that bronze serpent, that healed a physical problem. It saved their bodies. But looking to Jesus on the cross, with faith, that heals our spiritual sickness, our sin. And it doesn't just give us a longer life here, it gives us eternal life. So what this all boils down to is a choice. The Israelites had one back in the desert, and we have one today. It's all about what you decide to do with the solution God offers. Seriously, put yourself in their shoes for a second. You get bit by a snake, you're in agony, and someone says, just go look at that metal statue. You might think, are you kidding me? That's too simple. It's crazy. Their doubt could have literally cost them their lives. And isn't that just like us sometimes? We face a problem and we're tempted to think God's solution is too simple. Do we trust him or do we let our doubts get the best of us? I love this picture the source material gives us. It says we can choose between 2 places to live. There's the dark cellar of doubts. You know that place, right? It's full of fear and questions, and all you can do is focus on the problem, the snake bite. Or you can choose to live in the upper chamber of faith. That's where you find hope and trust, because you're not staring at the problem anymore. You're focusing on the solution. All right, so let's bring this home. What does it actually mean for you and me to look and live today in our regular lives? Because it's way more than just a one-time thing. It's really a whole way of living. See, looking isn't just a passive thing you do with your eyes. It's an active choice. It's about how you talk. Do you talk faith or do you talk doubt? It's about how you act. Are you living out that faith? And it's about what you share. Telling other people about God's goodness, his mercy, and his power. It's all about keeping your eyes fixed on the solution, not getting stuck on the problem. So as we wrap this up, that's really the question for you, isn't it? Today and every day, when you face your own fiery serpents, and you will, we all do, whether it's fear or a big problem or just nagging doubt, where are you going to choose to look? Are you going to stare at the bite? Or are you going to lift your eyes and look to the one who offers real hope,
real healing, and real life. The choice, as always, is yours.